but I didn't have any names. I think since you're hosting, if you click that button, video, allow participant names to be shown, but it's probably only for us Zoomies, not for the YouTube people.
All I can see is the participants on this. Yeah, I don't know. I just
Under settings view, and click the box for always display participants' names. Whatever. Just thought I'd ask. Hi,
I
Carmel.
see your name popping up.
all right. That's okay. I've got the live stream going now. So.
Okay,
So you said 36 participants. I was just like, wait, do you mean 36 people looked at our board meeting?
Last time, yes.
Oh, wow.
However many I put in the minutes, that's how many people tuned in.
I'm surprised.
that's a lot.
Wouldn't have thought it would be that interesting.
Looky
And on that-
loos.
And on that note, I'll call the open session to order of this special session board meeting for the Wright Elementary School District. If there's no objection, I'll pass on the Pledge of Allegiance and announce that there was no action taken in closed session. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Nope.
Oh,
Any requests to have any agenda item heard at a specific time?
how about now?
Sounds good. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest from any governing board members abstaining from discussions and voting on any particular agenda item?
No.
And is there any public comment regarding any item which is not on the open session agenda?
No,
No, Janice? Okay,
none,
thank you.
none received.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the discussion item of resolution number 0501-1920, grading during emergency school closures. It's on page 7. I'm not sure that's true, but it's
11.
on
Page 11.
Adam, do you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. We have board policy on grading. We have administrative regulations on grading. The board policy is 5121A, and the administrative regulation is 5121A. Basically, what we're doing here is I am asking you to essentially suspend those board policies, amend, adjust them for the purposes of grading this third trimester because of distance learning, COVID-19, shelter in place, coronavirus. So essentially, the meat of the change to the board policy would be in number 6 on the board resolution. Students shall be expected to submit graded work for the remainder of the school year. Final grades on report cards shall be marked NA, and students shall receive narrative comments evaluating their performance. The idea here is that we don't want to penalize any kids who have, because we can't assure equal access. So we don't want to be giving grades to kids because of internet access, support from home, ability to get online, somebody at home to help. I think it was best phrased by one of the teachers at the curriculum committee that we would really be giving grades to whoever was helping the child at home. So that's why the NA, and there were several different kind of ideas that got kicked around, including credit, no credit, actually doing grades but holding harmless, and we really felt that this was the most equitable approach.
So are all of our students advancing a grade based on the first 2 trimesters then, or how?
Yeah,
how is that?
that's
all
how
gonna
hold
happen?
harmless will work. So yeah, the interpretation of hold harmless at second grade, at the second trimester, would be that yes, we would wherever they were at second trimester, we would move them forward from there. It's a really compelling question, though. How are we going to, when you have someone going into second grade, or who isn't going to have second grade reading skills. And that's a pretty robust conversation. How are we going to deal with that? And it's going to continue. The kids have lost this time. We're not going to get it back.
Yeah, I guess, and I'm even more concerned about the 8th graders going into high school and how far behind will they be?
Yeah.
But I guess everybody is in the same boat. So I would imagine there's going to be some remedial work at the beginning of, whenever the new year is the new school year. Is that the case, you think?
I
Has there
don't
been
think
discussions
it's
about
probably
that?
not fair to say that everybody's in the same boat. We're all kind of in our own boat right now. That would be the only way that I would say that a little bit differently.
Okay.
Because I think that my kids are in 9th and 10th grade, I think they're probably getting a slightly different experience than maybe some other 9th and 10th grade kids. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
They live in the home
I
of an
see.
educator and, someone
Yeah.
who values this kind of thing and believes in it and is going to hold their feet to the fire. That's not necessarily going to be true, in every household.
Okay. Wow.
And honestly, to just be perfectly frank, 7th and 8th graders have been particularly hard to engage.
Yeah.
It's really hard for them to show up. I don't think that our grading policy is going to have any impact on that. I just don't, but they have been. I mean, it could have when we talked about, one of the things we talked about when we were in the curriculum committee, and in CBC, when we were talking about grades in middle school, was if I had an A at the end of the second trimester and you're holding me harmless, why should I do anything?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of flipped both ways. I think in the end,
Yeah.
we just decided that one policy for all the kids was the best policy, and that having all of the kids get narrative responses and grades along the way would be the best way that we could motivate them. What's
Okay.
going to be really tricky next year is as we come back, if we do start with distance learning again, if we do, and this is another thing that's come up at both curriculum committee and at CVC, is right now the teachers have personal relationships to rely on when it comes to motivating kids, because they spent half a year with them, right? So they knew them. They knew something about their families. They knew what made them tick. They knew what they were into. They had ways to kind of, use their relationships to bring kids into learning. That's going to be a harder thing to do if they don't start next year with the same kids.
Any comments from the board?
I have a
Carolyn, yeah.
small one. I know this is way far in the future, but I was thinking about October. What happens if we have a massive power outage again and people can't log on? And I mean, wasn't the school pretty much closed during the fire power outages? I'm just thinking what happens when we don't have our laptops and phones working.
Yeah, that's a pretty terrifying concept, isn't it?
I know
It is.
it could double up. I mean, October, could be a second wave.
I know. Yeah. I wish I had a great answer for you, Carolyn. I really don't.
Do you,
And-
number 4 with the held harmless, it's not really spelled out what that means. I mean, I know what we know what you're talking about. So maybe it doesn't need to be, but it's not a term that's commonly used with regard to grades. You find it,
Would you like it to be something more plain spoken, sort of no one shall receive a grade lower than their second trimester grade?
Well, I guess, if we know what I guess the purpose of this resolution is just to suspend the grading policy, right? So it probably doesn't need to be, if we know what we were talking about, maybe that's all that's required.
I won't use that term when I send this out, when I send a summary of this out to parents.
Yeah, they want to know, even in a normal contractual context, nobody knows what hold harmless means.
Yeah.
So I guess it's okay.
Okay, good. Any other comments, questions? All right, then,
I move we
Let's move on.
approve the resolution.
moved by Stan,
Second.
second, Robin beat you to it.
Oh.
Carmel. Second by Robin for the approval of resolution
Yep, no
0501
worries.
1920, resolution on grading during emergency school closures. Any final questions or comments from the board? All right, Janice, could you take roll, please?
Yes, and I unmuted. Robin Jackson,
Aye.
Stan Greenberg,
Aye.
Carolyn Irwin McGee,
Aye.
Carolyn Dixon,
Aye.
and Carmel Curiel Larios. Aye. Resolution carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Aye.
Our next regular session board meeting's on Thursday, May 21st at 5 PM. And if there's no other business, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Actually, I'm sorry, before you adjourn real quick, was this time and day, was it kind of okay for everybody? Because if something comes up between now and the next regular session board meeting, and it could, that I'd be able to call a meeting and kind of count on this time.
It's for
I'm
me.
not scheduling one right now. I'm just asking if this is generally a good time for you.
I think generally for me, it is a good time. How
Okay.
about
Yeah.
everybody else?
It's good for me. Mondays are usually kind of hard, but actually, right now they're pretty easy because a lot of things are canceled.
Yeah,
They have the groundwater. People meet on Mondays, but I welcome it. Excuse
I would
to
have
not
to say from
do that. It's just more
for me
Zoom
would
now.
be
so-
after 5:30, just to make sure I have availability.
Okay, Carmel, thank you. I'll check in with you personally before, before setting anything up. I just wanted as a general rule of thumb if this day was going to work for everybody. So, okay, thank you.
all right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Stay
Be
safe.
well.
Yeah, stay safe.